In the heart of ancient Estonia, a leader emerged. His name was Lembitu. He was a warrior and a chieftain. His story is one of resilience and determination, a tale that has been passed down through generations, inspiring countless Estonians. His leadership was about uniting his people under a common cause. He was born into a time of great change. The world was shifting, with new powers rising. The medieval period saw the rise and fall of empires, the clash of cultures, and the relentless march of progress. In this turbulent era, his leadership became a beacon of hope for his people. He navigated the complexities of medieval politics with a keen mind and a brave heart. The Baltic Sea was a bustling hub where merchants from distant lands converged, exchanging goods, ideas, and cultures. The sea routes were the lifelines of medieval commerce, connecting Estonia to the wider world. He understood the importance of these connections and sought to protect and enhance them for the prosperity of his people. It was also a place of conflict. The waters of the Baltic were often stained with the blood of battles as rival factions vied for control. His leadership was tested time and again as he defended his homeland from invaders. His strategic acumen and unyielding spirit were crucial in these turbulent times. His people were the Estonians. They were a proud and independent people. Their way of life was deeply rooted in their traditions and their connection to the land. They valued their freedom and were willing to fight to preserve it. His leadership was a reflection of these values, embodying the spirit of his people. Their celebrations were vibrant, filled with music, dance, and rituals that honored their ancestors. These traditions were a source of strength and unity, binding the community together. He was not just a leader in battle, but also a custodian of these cultural practices. They lived in a land of forests and lakes. The natural beauty of Estonia was both a blessing and a challenge. The dense forests provided resources and shelter, while the lakes were teeming with fish. However, these landscapes also posed obstacles, requiring skill and knowledge to navigate. His deep understanding of the land was instrumental in his leadership. They were skilled hunters and fishermen. Their survival depended on their ability to hunt, fish, and defend their territory. These skills were passed down through generations, creating a society that was self-sufficient and resilient. He himself was a master of these arts, leading by example and earning the respect of his people. He rose through the ranks. His journey from a young warrior to a revered chieftain was marked by numerous battles and acts of bravery. Each victory solidified his reputation and brought him closer to his destiny. His rise was not just a personal achievement, but a symbol of hope for his people. He became known for his courage. In the face of overwhelming odds, he never wavered. His bravery on the battlefield was legendary, inspiring his warriors to fight with unwavering determination. Stories of his heroic deeds spread far and wide, cementing his legacy as a fearless leader. He was known for his wisdom. His leadership was not just about strength, but also about wisdom. He was a shrewd strategist, able to foresee the moves of his enemies and plan accordingly. His counsel was sought by many, and his decisions were respected and followed. His wisdom was a guiding light for his people in times of uncertainty. His people looked to him for guidance. In times of peace and war, he was the pillar of his community. He addressed their concerns, mediated disputes, and provided a vision for the future. His leadership was characterized by a deep sense of responsibility and care for his people. A new threat appeared from the south. The Christian crusaders were coming. They came from the Holy Roman Empire. They came from Denmark. They came to conquer. They came to convert. The Livonian Crusade had begun. This crusade aimed to conquer the Baltic region. They wanted to Christianize the pagan tribes. The crusaders saw the Estonians as heathens. They believed it was their duty to convert them. The crusaders were well armed. They were well organized. They posed a serious threat to Estonian way of life. The leaders understood the danger. They knew that their people had to unite. They had to resist. The chief knew that his people were divided. The land was fragmented, with each tribe living in isolation, separated by forests, rivers, and mountains. The sense of unity was almost non-existent. They lived in separate tribes, each with its own customs, leaders, and way of life. These tribes had their own territories and were fiercely protective of them. They often fought amongst themselves, engaging in skirmishes and conflicts over resources, land, and honor. These internal conflicts weakened them, making them vulnerable to external threats. The chief knew that this had to change. He understood that their survival depended on unity. He envisioned a future where the tribes could stand together as one formidable force. He traveled across the land, visiting each tribe, no matter how remote. He braved harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and the skepticism of the people he met. He met with the elders of other tribes, sitting down with them in their council meetings. He listened to their concerns, their fears, and their hopes for the future. He spoke of the threat they all faced, a common enemy that sought to conquer their lands and subjugate their people. He painted a vivid picture of the dangers that lay ahead if they remained divided. He urged them to put aside their differences. He called for unity, emphasizing that their strength lay in their numbers and their shared heritage. He spoke with conviction, his words resonating with those who listened. He called for resistance. He rallied the warriors, inspiring them with tales of bravery and valor. He reminded them of their ancestors who had fought to protect their land and their way of life. Many were hesitant. They had old rivalries. Some doubted his leadership, but the chief was persuasive. He was passionate. He spoke with a fire that ignited the hearts of those who heard him. He spoke of their common heritage, the traditions and values that bound them together. He reminded them of the stories passed down through generations, stories of unity and strength. He spoke of the need to defend their freedom, to protect their families and their way of life. He emphasized that their fight was not just for themselves, but for future generations. He reminded them of what it meant to be Estonian. He spoke of the pride they should feel in their identity, their culture, and their land. He urged them to stand together, to fight together, and to forge a future where they could live in peace and prosperity. Slowly, the tribes began to see the wisdom in his words. They started to come together, setting aside their differences and uniting under a common cause. The Estonian alliance was forged, a testament to the power of unity and the strength of a shared vision. With their newfound unity, the tribes prepared for the battles ahead. They trained together, strategized together, and stood ready to defend their land. The spirit of unity and resistance that had been ignited would carry them through the challenges to come. The year was 1217. The crusaders, led by the Bishop of Riga, marched into Estonian territory. They were met by the Estonian forces. The Estonians were outnumbered, but they were determined to defend their land. The Battle of St. Matthew's Day was about to begin. It was a clash of civilizations. The Christian crusaders fought for God and glory. The Estonians fought for their homes and their freedom. The battle raged for hours. The Estonians fought bravely, but the crusaders were relentless. They were better equipped. The fall of a hero, Lembitu's final stand. The tide of the battle began to turn. The once confident Estonian warriors found themselves facing an overwhelming force. The air was thick with the sounds of clashing swords, the cries of the wounded, and the relentless advance of the crusaders. The crusaders gained the upper hand. The Estonian lines wavered. The disciplined ranks of the crusaders, with their gleaming armor and unyielding resolve, began to push back the Estonian defenders. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble with the weight of the advancing enemy. The Estonian chief saw his forces faltering. From his vantage point, he could see the desperation in the eyes of his men. The once proud and defiant warriors were now struggling to hold their ground. The realization hit him hard. The battle was slipping away. He knew that he had to act. The fate of his people rested on his shoulders. With a deep breath, he steeled himself for what was to come. He could not let fear or doubt cloud his judgment. His people needed a leader, and he would not let them down. With a roar, he rallied his men, his voice filled with determination and fire, cut through the chaos of the battlefield. "For Estonia!" he cried, his words igniting a spark of hope in the hearts of his warriors. They looked to him, their leader, and found the strength to fight on. He led a desperate charge against the enemy. With his sword raised high, he charged into the fray, his men following close behind. The clash was brutal, the fighting fierce. Every swing of his sword was a testament to his unyielding spirit. He fought with the fury of a cornered wolf. Each strike was delivered with precision and power, his movements a blur of deadly efficiency. The crusaders, though numerous, found themselves facing a force of nature in the form of their leader. He cut through the crusader ranks. His blade found its mark time and again, felling enemies with each swing. The ground around him was littered with the fallen, a testament to his prowess in battle, but Even a hero has his limits. But it was a futile effort. He was struck down. The enemy's numbers were too great, their resolve too strong. A well-aimed blow found its mark, and the Estonian chief fell to his knees, his strength finally giving out. He fell on the field of a battle. His vision blurred, the sounds of battle fading into the distance. As he lay there, he thought of his people, of the land he had fought so hard to protect. His final thoughts were of hope, that his sacrifice would not be in vain. His death was a blow to the Estonians. Their leader was gone. Their resistance crumbled. The loss of their chief was more than just the fall of a warrior. It was the shattering of a symbol of hope and defiance. The Estonian warriors, now leaderless, struggled to find the will to continue the fight. The battlefield, once a place of fierce resistance, now lay silent, a testament to the cost of their struggle. The legacy of a hero, a symbol of resistance. He died in battle, but his spirit lived on. He became a legend. He became a symbol of Estonian resistance. His name echoed through the ages. It inspired generations to come. His story is a reminder that even in defeat, there is honor. There is courage in fighting for what is right. He showed that even the smallest nation can resist oppression. He showed that people should never give up their freedom.